a lot happened and nothing happened at the same time. I just like, I felt seen. I did think that the main character was kind of like really annoying in the beginning, but it was tough. Paranora, possibly. Yeah, definitely read the triggers. Parts had me giggling and swinging my feet. Like, I don't know, I can't relate, but like, I guess that ending was just kind of like, really? It was stupid. I cried my eyes out multiple times reading this book. She was in a coma. Why am I getting choked up? Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey if you're new here, and today I am joined by Percy. I'm on the floor, so the dogs are probably going to be like walking back and forth near me. So I'm really excited to make this video. It's going to Moose is gonna move my camera. It's obviously going to be a little late, but I didn't want to not make the video. So basically, I am going to be talking about everything that I read for 2024. My goal for 2024 was to read 15 books, and I actually read 20, so I surpassed my goal, which is so exciting. I'm looking down at my phone, obviously. Okay, I'll just read you my stats. So the shortest book that I read was 54 pages. The longest book that I read was 951 pages. The average book length in 2024 was 342 pages. The most shelved book, so if people on Goodreads have that they want to read it or they read it, was Where the Crawdads Sing. And the least shelved was a memoir that I read, which I'll get into a little later. My average rating for 2024 was 4.0. I'm not too harsh with my ratings. Here's my rating scale. So 1 is I absolutely hated it. 2, it kind of was not the best. 3, didn't hate it, didn't love it. 4, I liked it. And then 5, I loved it. So that's how I rate it. The book that's the highest rated that I read for 2024 was also Where the Crawdads Sing. And then my first review of the year was that memoir that I read. The Weeknd just released an album yesterday, and I've been non-stop listening to it, and unrelated, but there are songs that literally feel like my ex wrote them to me, so it's really weird, but I like the album. Okay, so my first book of 2024 was called 1,000 Boy Kisses. By the way, I don't have many of the physical books because they're all either in storage or I read them on Kindle. This one was super cutesy, very just like young girl, young boy love. And it actually, like, I cried my eyes out multiple times reading this book. Oh my God, come on, come over here. You can sit right there. Okay, Fish is gonna be in the video, by the way. Yeah, I really remember liking this story. It was very, very sad. I'm gonna read the synopsis. Can you sit right here? Come here. Everybody wants to hang out with me today. Can you sit? Moose, please. Can you sit? Can you sit? Thank you. Good boy. Okay, he finally sat down. 1,000 Boy Kisses is an emotional contemporary romance about childhood best friends Rune and Poppy, whose deep connection turns into an unforgettable love story. Set in a small town, the novel follows their journey from innocent friendship to soul-deep devotion, exploring themes of love, fate, and the power of cherished moments. With a heartfelt and poetic narrative, the story captures the intensity of young love, the challenges of separation, and the significance of promises made. It's a deeply moving tale that tugs at the heartstrings and lingers long after the last page. So I definitely was thinking about this story for a long while after reading it, and I just remember like curled up on the couch bawling my eyes out. So it's definitely a super heart-wrenching story, but it's also super cute and just like innocent, you know? So the next book that I read was The Midnight Library, and there's like a weird like connection, I guess, with this book and why I read it. And I think this is where my relationship started to like get rocky. So The reason I read this book was, okay, let me go back. So my ex used to work at a physician's office. One of the physicians that worked there, I guess he kind of got close to, and she recommended he read this book because she could understand that he was kind of like the type to dip his hand into everything, like every type of job, every type of hobby, anything that he could try, he would try. And I think that he saw it as a bad thing sometimes, but he also saw it as a good thing. And obviously I'm not going to speak too much for him, but basically that's the reason that I read the book, is because he had an understanding of what the book was about, and so I wanted to read it to also understand it and kind of be on the same level with him. So that's really the reason why I read this one. I had heard great reviews about it. Actually, I heard mixed reviews on it, but I actually really enjoyed reading this book. I gave it 4 stars, but I thought that the storyline was pretty interesting. The Midnight Library by Matt Haig is a thought-provoking novel that explores the infinite possibilities of life's choices. It follows a woman who finds herself in a mysterious library where each book represents a different version of her life, one where she made different decisions. Each book explores what her life looks like if she made one different decision. As she navigates these alternative realities, she reflects on regret, hope, and the meaning of happiness. Blending philosophy with heartfelt storytelling, the book offers a profound look at the power of perspective and the beauty of embracing the present. I thought that it was a really great story. I thought the actual like library like imagery of the story was really cool too. Like literally, like all of these books, you pull a book and it's what your life is with one little choice that you made different. So it's like super interesting to think about that concept. And I found myself highlighting a ton of different passages from this book that I thought were really like thought-provoking, like this summary said. So I really enjoyed this one. I heard, like I said, a lot of mixed reviews. I heard that people hated it, and then I heard that people loved it. It did take me a little bit to get into, and I did think that the main character was kind of like really annoying in the beginning, but I can understand why. I can understand why, and I can sympathize with her. So I'll leave that at that, but that is the second book that I read. The next one that I read was Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. I will say I do not remember much about this book, but I gave it 2 stars, so that's probably why. Sometimes I Lie is a psychological thriller that keeps readers guessing from start to finish. It follows a woman who wakes up in a hospital unable to move or speak, but fully aware of everything happening around her. As she pieces together the events leading up to her condition, the story unfolds through shifting timelines and unreliable memories. With dark secrets, unexpected twists, and a gripping narrative, the novel explores themes of trust, manipulation, and the blurred lines between truth and deception. Like I said, I really do not remember much from this book, besides the fact that she was in a coma and she could hear everyone. I genuinely don't know what else happened, but I gave it 2 stars, so I guess I did not like it. The next book that I read was A Friend in the Dark by Samantha M. Bailey. I was gonna say that I did not remember much from this story either, but I actually do remember it now that I am reading the synopsis, and I did give this book 5 stars. A Friend in the Dark is a gripping psychological thriller about trust, secrets, and survival. The story follows a woman who, in a vulnerable moment, turns to a seemingly kind stranger for help. However, as their connection deepens, she begins to question the true intentions of her new friend. With the tense atmosphere, shifting perspectives, and unexpected twists, the novel explores the fine line between friendship and danger, keeping readers on edge until the very last page. I remember reading this book and really wanting to find out like what happens and being confused, and I believe there was like a really huge plot twist at the end. I don't remember details of the book, to be honest, but I liked it. I gave it 5 stars, so I guess it was a good thriller. For me, thrillers, I kind of have to just keep wanting to read, like I guess obviously any book, but Thrillers specifically, like I fly through those. So if they grip me and I'm, you know, turning pages, then it's a good thriller for me. So I liked this one. Then I went for another thriller because I believe that I really liked that story, that I also wanted to read another thriller. So this one was a tried and true Freida McFadden. So next up is The Teacher by Freida McFadden. Firstly, I gave this book 5 stars. I also do remember it being very hard to read. It has some tropes that are a little just uncomfortable and just odd, like very odd. The Teacher is a psychological thriller filled with dark secrets and unexpected twists. It follows a high school teacher who seems to have the perfect life until a new student arrives and disrupts everything. As tension builds in the classroom and secrets from the past resurface, the teacher finds themselves caught in a dangerous web of lies and deception. With an eerie atmosphere and a fast-paced narrative, the novel keeps readers guessing as it explores themes of power, obsession, and the consequences of buried truths. So like I said, I would suggest reading a little bit of the triggers, possibly. Yeah, definitely read the triggers before you read this if you would like to read it. If you are sensitive to topics that are sensitive, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but just like know what you're getting into when you read this book. Overall, good story, good plot twist, as always with Freida McFadden, super easy read. The next book that I read was Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Now, firstly, I gave this book 4 stars. I liked the book, but I will say that it took me so long to read. I really liked the story, I really liked the message, I really liked the characters, but for some reason, I just could not get gripped into the story. I thought the story was interesting. I don't know, just something about it. It was definitely different than what I normally read. Not to say that's a bad thing, but I don't know, maybe that's why it took me so long to read it. But also, I had a lot going on in my life, so it could be a lot of factors, but overall, I like the story. Remarkably, why is that hard to say? Remarkably Bright Creatures is a heartwarming and poignant, I think that's how you say that, novel about unlikely connections, healing, and second chances. It follows a grieving woman who works the night shift at an aquarium, forming an unexpected bond with a highly intelligent giant Pacific octopus. As their stories intertwine, long-buried secrets begin to surface, leading to a journey of self-discovery and hope. Blending warmth, humor, and emotion, the novel explores the power of friendship and the unexpected ways we find closure and belonging. Again, a really cute story, but just odd. I mean, it's a woman that has a connection with an octopus, so it's like weird, but cool. But I did like it. I liked the main character and I liked the octopus, which is weird to say. But if that sounds like something you might be interested in reading about, then I definitely suggest going for it. Next, I read another Freida McFadden. Because the last book that I read took so long, I just wanted to hop into a Freida McFadden because I know that Freida McFadden, I can fly through those and I really enjoy her writing. For this one, I gave it 4 stars because I did like the story, but it was kind of also really stupid and dumb, but I liked it. Like, it was just a stupid story and like a lot happened and nothing happened at the same time, if that makes sense. One by One is a fast-paced psychological thriller about a group of strangers trapped in a remote location and no way out. When the trip takes a deadly turn and they begin disappearing one by one, paranoia and fear take over. With no one to trust and tensions rising, the survivors must uncover the truth before it's too late. Packed with suspense, unexpected twists, and a chilling atmosphere, the novel keeps readers guessing until the final shocking reveal. It had a plot twist. I kinda sorta saw it coming, but then at the end she always adds this like super like, what? I never even considered that as an option. That's why I like Freida McFadden. So yeah, wasn't a bad book. I would say if you like thrillers, read it. but it's not gonna be like amazing. The next book that I read was after I got my library card finally, and so I picked the physical book of this one up, and I was super excited to read this one. It is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. For this one I picked it because I wanted just a highly rated book to read. So I just went down my list, rated high to low, and then I was just looking to see what they actually had at the library. So I found that one and I actually really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. This is also a movie, so I read the book and then I watched the movie. I will say that I think I liked the story more after I watched the movie. I don't know why. Where the Crawdads Sing is a beautifully written novel that blends mystery, romance, and a deep connection to nature. Set in the marshlands of North Carolina, it follows the life of a young woman who grows up isolated from society, finding solace in the natural world around her. When a local man is found dead, she becomes entangled in a gripping investigation that forces her to confront the prejudices and secrets of the town. With lyrical prose and a rich sense of place, the novel explores themes of survival, loneliness, and the resilience of the human spirit. I really felt for the main character of this book. She was just a little girl and kind of was left to like figure out life on her own. So I liked it. I really liked it, but I liked it more after I watched the movie. So the next book that I read was Natural Selection by Elin Hilderbrand. I've heard a lot about Elin Hilderbrand and I hear a lot of mixed reviews, but I do hear a lot of people loving her stuff. So I decided to give this one a try. It's actually a short story. That's the one that was 54 pages. And it was stupid, like so stupid. I actually left a review for this one on Goodreads. Natural Selection is a short story that follows Sophia Othanos, a New Yorker who embarks on a Galapagos Island cruise alone after her boyfriend cancels at the last minute. Initially hesitant about the rustic adventure, Sophia uses her solitude to reflect on her life and relationship, leading to personal growth and self-discovery amidst the island's natural beauty. The narrative explores themes of adaptability and finding oneself in unexpected circumstances. My personal review on Goodreads, 2 stars, like I said. At first I gave it 3 stars, but I didn't love it, but also didn't hate it. But I just changed it to 2 stars. It just wasn't anything spectacular, kind of silly, wouldn't recommend, but if you're trying to hit your reading goal for the year, maybe. So that was my review that I left on that book. It was just like the main character, you're like, but like why? Like just, I don't know. Read it if you want to read it, but I didn't like it. The next book that I read was Happy People Are Annoying by Josh Peck. It is a memoir, and that's the memoir I was talking about at the beginning of this video. Happy People Are Annoying is a candid and humorous memoir that delves into the actor's journey of self-discovery, fame, and personal growth. In the book, Peck reflects on his rise to stardom, navigating the ups and downs of Hollywood, and finding his true self in the process. With raw honesty and wit, he shares his struggles, including his battles with weight, addiction, and relationship, while offering a heartfelt exploration of what it means to find happiness. The memoir balances humor with deeper moments of vulnerability, making it both entertaining and thought-provoking. I really enjoyed this book. I really like Josh Peck. Josh Peck was part of Drake and Josh, which is a show that I used to watch when I was younger. So it was interesting to just hear his story and how he, you know, took what life handed him and made it good. I did write a review for this one. I gave it 5 stars. If you're a Josh Peck fan, I'd recommend. It was interesting to hear his story and learn about the way his brain works and all the things he did to combat his problems. He's also really funny, so that's just an added bonus. The next book I read was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is the first book of Abby Jimenez that I picked up, and I actually really enjoyed it, and I'm super excited to read a lot more of her stories. I just really love this story, and it's a little romance novel, but I don't know, something about it I really enjoyed. Part of Your World is a charming and emotional romance about a woman at a crossroads in her life. After a chance encounter with a man from a small town, she finds herself drawn to him despite their vastly different worlds. As they navigate their connection, they must confront their own insecurities, societal expectations, and the complexities of love. With humor, heart, and a touch of vulnerability, the novel explores themes of self-acceptance, the pursuit of happiness, and the importance of embracing change. I also wrote a review for this one. I gave it 5 stars. I really liked this. I was hooked right away and stayed hooked the entire time. Super quick and easy read. Parts had me giggling and swinging my feet. Like, I put the little emoji. Excited for books 2 and 3 and to dive into the Abby Jimenez world. I still obviously agree with this review. I did end up reading the second book. I think I read it in 2024, so we'll get to that in a second. But I have not read book 3, and I'm just so excited to read it. So that is on my TBR for hopefully 2025. I think I will get to it. But yeah, like I said in the review, I picked it up, literally got gripped from the start. So I really liked her writing. She's very funny in the way that she writes. It's very just like relatable, almost like a friend is telling me a story, which I really like, and it just makes it easier to read. I definitely recommend. The next book that I read is actually part of a book club that my mother-in-law and my cousin and her friend, we all started, so it's 4 of us. And so the first book that we decided to read for book club was A Little Life by Hanya. Yanagihara. I don't even know how to say it. Hanya Yanagihara. It's on the screen. But this book, you guys, this was the longest book that I read, and it was so sad from start to finish. There were maybe small glimpses of a little happiness, a little joy, but it was tough. It was a tough read. I had seen this book all over TikTok and people literally sobbing reading it. So it was always on my TBR, and I was like, one day I'll get to it, but it just seems like a scary feat. It just looked like people were, you know, like so upset with the story. So I wanted to read it. So I'm glad that we chose that story to read, but it was long and so sad. A Little Life is a deeply emotional and complex novel that follows the lives of 4 friends as they navigate love, trauma, and friendship over several decades. At the center of their story is Jude, a brilliant but troubled man with a mysterious past that slowly unfolds throughout the narrative. As his friends struggle to understand and support him, the novel explores themes of suffering, healing, and the enduring impact of past trauma. With this raw and open, heartbreaking portrayal of human relationships, A Little Life is a poignant exploration of the lengths we go to for those we love. Just a sad, super sad story. And you think it's bad and it just gets worse for the character. The book itself, I enjoyed. But just overall, not something you're gonna read if you wanna be happy. Not that it makes you sad, but it's just like, it's like gut-wrenching for sure. The next book that I read was another memoir. I really enjoyed reading Josh Peck's memoir, so I decided to try out another one. I read The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. I gave it 4 stars. I don't have too much of a connection with Britney Spears. I just was interested in the story. I mean, I definitely do remember being a little girl, like we used to have like this Florida room in the house that I grew up in, which if you don't know what a Florida room is, it's just like a room that's like outside. So it had like a sliding glass door, and it's an enclosed room, but it's just like screens basically. But it still had like walls, if that is explaining it well. And I had like a bunch of toys and stuff in there, and I remember having the Barbie CD player. I'll see if I can find a picture of it, and it had the Britney Spears cassette that I would put in there, and it had like, I think I had a microphone, or it came with a microphone, and I used to sing "Oops, I Did It Again," and all the other songs that were on that album, cassette. I don't know how you say that. So I guess I do have some memories of her in my childhood. The Woman in Me is a memoir that offers an intimate look into the pop icon's life, from her rise to fame to her struggles with personal and professional challenges. In the book, Spears shares her experiences with media, her family, and her career, giving readers insight into her journey and reclaiming her voice and independence. With raw honesty, she reflects on the pressures of fame, the battles she faced, and the emotional tolls taken on her. The memoir serves as a powerful exploration of resilience, self-discovery, and empowerment. I think I remember when reading this that I didn't really learn anything new. I guess if you don't know much about her, I guess you would learn some stuff, but yeah, I gave it 4 stars. It was just nothing like crazy, but I liked it. The next book was another book club book, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't really remember what happened in this book. It's called All Grown Up by V. Keelan, and I gave it 2 stars. So let me get the synopsis and see if that jogs my memory. All Grown Up is a contemporary romance that centers on the unexpected and complicated relationship between 2 people with very different lives. The story follows a woman who, after a whirlwind encounter, finds herself drawn to a man with a mysterious past. As their connection deepens, they must navigate their own emotional baggage, challenging paths, and the tension between their desires and the realities of their lives. With humor, heat, and heart, the novel explores themes of growth, vulnerability, and the power of second chances in love. I still don't remember what this book was about. So yeah, not much to say on that. The next book was the next book club book. I just said book so many times. It was called Hunted by Darcy Coates, and I do remember not hating it, not loving it, but it was definitely like a gripping story, I would say. Hunted is a suspenseful and chilling horror novel that follows a group of friends who, while on a remote trip in the woods, find themselves being stalked by a deadly and mysterious force. As the terror intensifies, they realize that they are not alone and must fight to survive against an unseen predator. With a tense atmosphere, dark secrets, and a relentless pace, the novel explores themes of fear, survival, and the primal instincts that emerge when humans are pushed to their limit. It keeps readers on the edge of their seats until the final shocking moments. It kind of reminded me of the book that I read, One by One. Kind of similar vibes. I would say that this one was a little bit more gory and a little more open about the way things looked and smelled and, you know, things like that. So on that aspect, I definitely think that that was a little better. But at the end of the day, I think that the ending was just kind of like, really? But the next book that I read was Girl with No Job, The Crazy Beautiful Life of an Instagram Thirst Monster. Another memoir. This one was actually a memoir about one of the podcast hosts that I listened to. I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed reading this one, but obviously, like, if you don't know who she is, you're not going to be interested in listening to it. She's one of the hosts of the Toast podcast, and yeah, if you listen to the Toast, then you might be interested. Not, then you're obviously not going to care, right? Girl with No Job is a humorous and relatable memoir that delves into the author's rise to social media fame. Known for her Instagram account, also called Girl with No Job, Claudia shares stories from her life, including her experiences growing up, her journey through the world of influencer culture, and the challenges she faced in navigating fame and personal growth. With wit and candor, she reflects on love, friendship, and the pursuit of success, offering both comedic insights and heartfelt moments along the way. The next book that I read was Tuesdays with Maury, and this one I actually listened to, and I think that that added to why I ended up enjoying it. At first I was gonna give it 4 stars, but then I gave it 5 stars because at the end of the audiobook you actually hear the old man from the story speaking. So this is actually a book that my grandmother gave me years and years ago that I never fully got to get into. I wasn't really into reading back then, so I wanted to read this book because there are actually a lot of good reviews. Tuesdays with Maury is a touching and inspiring memoir that chronicles the author's conversations with his former college professor, Maury Schwartz, who is nearing the end of his life due to amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS. Every Tuesday, Mitch visits Maury, and their discussions cover life's biggest lessons: love, work, family, and death. Through these profound and heartfelt exchanges, the book explores themes of mortality, the importance of human connection, and finding meaning in life. It's a beautiful reflection on how to live with purpose and embrace with each moment, even in the face of hardship. You know, obviously the main character, which it's based off a true person, is dying. So he, you know, just lays it all out for people that want to hear it. So I think it was really interesting to hear his perspective, and I definitely was like, yes, to a lot of things that he was saying. I was specifically looking for a book that would, I don't know, inspire me, I think. The next book that I read was called A Man by Ove by Frederick Backman. And first and foremost, well, actually, okay, hold on. Ove, I thought that's how you said it. A man named Ove, or a man called Ove. A man called Ove. But I listened to this one as well, and they kept calling him Uva. So, a man called Uva, I guess. But this main character was a grouch. A grouch, an old man that hated everyone and had a problem with everything. And I was like, I guess. I don't know, I can't relate, but like, I guess. A Man Called Ove is a heartwarming and humorous novel about a grumpy yet lovable elderly man named Ove, whose rigid and solitary life is disrupted when new neighbors move in next door. Despite his initial reluctance, Ove forms unexpected friendships that begin to soften his tough exterior and reveal deeper layers of his past. The book explores themes of love, loss, and the importance of community, showing how even the most unlikely people can make a profound impact on each other's lives. With wit and emotion, it's a beautiful reminder of the power of connection and kindness. I will say, this character, like a lot of characters that are so extremely miserable, I can understand why. From, you know, after reading the story, you can feel for the character, you can understand why he is the way that he is, and also like, it's just like sad. It's sad, the story itself, and that there are likely a lot of people that are like that for whatever reason, and it's understandable. So I think that it was a good story to read, even though, like, again, I can't relate to the grumpiness and like hating every little thing. I hope that I can never relate, but you never know. Things can happen to cause people to act that way or change, and I sympathize for people, even the people that hurt me, if you get what I'm putting down. The next book that I read was Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and I loved this book. I think I personally love this book because there was a lot in the book that I related to. There's, you know, a relationship situation that is, look, just read the book if you want to know, but I can relate to it with my, you know, past relationship. It was tough. It was tough to read because I literally had just ended my relationship. Like, I started reading this before my relationship ended and finished it, you know, later on. This one also took me a really long time to read because, again, I was reading this before, you know, my relationship ended and then my world was kind of falling apart, so it took me a while to finish this book. I think also the other reason that I really enjoyed this book was because the main male character had social anxiety, and the way that the author explained how he felt in social situations, or just in general, like, I could relate, and I just, like, I felt seen in both characters of this book. You know, the female going through, you know, a divorce, then the main male character, you know, going through problems with social anxiety and like new settings and just things like that. Like, I just like really related with this book, and then it's a cute little love story. So I really like this one. I gave it 5 stars. But here's a brief synopsis about what this story was about. This is also book 2 of the Part of Your World series. So these characters in book 2 were introduced in book 1, so it's their story. You don't have to read the first one to read the second one, because they are different characters, but you'll get like glimpses of the last book in the new book. Yours Truly is a heartfelt and romantic novel that follows the story of two people who find love in unexpected circumstances. The book centers on Dr. Brianna Ortiz, a compassionate doctor who is struggling with personal loss, and Jacob, a man dealing with his own emotional challenges. When their paths cross in a hospital setting, an unlikely connection forms between them, sparking a romance filled with humor, healing, and vulnerability. As they navigate their individual journeys and open up to each other, the novel explores themes of love, second chances, and finding joy, even after hardship. Although in this time right now, I am not looking to be with anybody, I'm not excited to be with anybody else. I do hope that the next person that I'm with is super understanding of me. Why am I getting choked up? And is gentle. Hopefully by the time that I'm ready to start, you know, putting myself out there, like, I'm a little bit more of a healed version of myself. Yeah, this book hit home, as you can tell. The last and final book that I read for the year of 2024 was the last book club book of the year as well. It was my pick, and I chose The Unmaking of June Farrow. This book was really fun to read. I will say that it took me a little bit to get into, so I ended up grabbing the audio version of it as well. The story was super interesting. It got a little confusing because there's time travel involved, and the minute time travel is involved, like, it gets like, are you in this timeline? Are you in this timeline? Who is this person? Like, trying to piece things together while also reading and understanding the story. But I definitely will say that I enjoyed this story. I gave it 5 stars, and I definitely thought that it was really cool. A little bit of a different story than what I'm used to reading. The Unmaking of June Farrow is a gripping, darkly atmospheric novel set in a world where magic and mystery collide. The story follows June Farrow, a young woman who is haunted by her past and cursed with an ability that she cannot control. When she is forced to confront both her family's secrets and her own powers, June embarks on a journey filled with danger, self-discovery, and the pursuit of redemption. The book explores themes of destiny, sacrifice, and the search for truth, all set against a backdrop of richly imagined world building and intense emotional depth. I really like this story. You find out some cool things at the end of the book. It's just a really interesting read. I definitely recommend it. I gave it 5 stars, like I said, and that is the last book that I read for 2024. For 2025, I also put my goal at 20 books, so hopefully I can hit that, but I would love to surpass like I did this year. Super excited for my reads of 2025. I have already finished 2 books so far, and I am loving reading as always. So I'm actually going to be starting 2 new books in the next like week or so. We picked our book club book for the month of February, and then I'm also starting a new book that I asked for some feedback from my Instagram followers on what I should read next. So if you guys want to have some input on the next book that I read, make sure you're following me on Instagram, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next year for my books of 2025 read. Bye!